to right center. Family and friends are psyched. So are we. That was awesome. What a play. Nick Allen gets up, spins, throws. Got him. What a play. That will be a contender for play of the year. Sensational big job by Nick Allen. Sensational big job by Nick Allen. And he dropped it. He dropped it. One-run score. Two-run score. A's lead 7-5. Hamilton dropped the ball. Hamilton dropped the ball. Hamilton dropped the ball.
Swung on driven to center. Well hit. Laureano going back at the track right to the wall. He's there. And he makes a phenomenal catch. Ramon Laureano with the robbery on a Wednesday afternoon.
And the A's have won it. 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 The Oakland Athletic. Wow, you gotta be kidding me. The Oakland Athletic. Wow, you gotta be kidding me. The Oakland Athletic. Wow, you gotta be kidding me. The Oakland Athletic. Wow, you gotta be kidding me. You gotta be kidding me.
Hello, welcome to the first live stream of the 2023 season, even though it's not actually the season yet. You know what I mean. It is the first live stream of 2023. I am Matt from the AUK crew. Glad to have you along if you're watching live or if you're watching later on repeat, as I'd say. Looking forward to it. We are 2 games into the spring training schedule so far. The A's have won both of the games so far. So look at the A's going. Yes, it was against 2 split squad teams, but let's not worry about that. We are in Arizona. Technically not in Arizona, but you know what I mean. And we are getting ready for Game 3 of the A's Cactus League action against the Colorado Rockies. And you can see the details over there. It gets going in just over half an hour's time. So 12:05 Pacific time and 8:05 here in the UK. Lovely evening time viewing today here in the UK because it is on MLB TV. It's not actually on NBC Sports California, but they're showing it on the app. And certainly in the first game they showed, what I saw of it anyway, they were taking radio commentary as part of doing the coverage. So they've got kind of a fairly reduced setup, if you like, but still good to watch. And after that long off-season with no A's baseball, any baseball is great, right? And good to have the team back because it's going to be an interesting season this year, isn't it? That's a good way of putting it, I would say. If you are watching live, you can join in on the chat. I should be able to see your comments and click them in, bring them up on the screen. Not expecting too much live interaction today. This is a bit of an impromptu one for our dive in on the Monday to get back into the swing of doing some live streams, and we'd see where we go from there, because I'm hoping to do these a couple of times a week all throughout the season and hopefully through spring training as well. That should be good fun. So yes, those are the details of the game. We'll have a quick look at the details now and then come back to them in a minute. But the headline news in terms of today's starting lineup is that we've got Brent Rooker, who's one of the guys we brought in over the offseason. He's DH today. Jace Peterson at third base, so he's the guy. He was at the Milwaukee Brewers, so we brought him in on a free agent contract. JJ Bleday, he is the prospect we acquired in the trade with the Miami Marlins for AJ Puck, so he's in center field today. Tyler Soderstrom, our top prospect, behind the plate and in the lineup, so really looking forward to seeing him. And on the mound, it's Drew Rosinski. So this is a guy who previously had spent a little bit of time in the majors, most recently with the Miami Marlins, and then has been in career, I think, for the past 4 seasons, playing in the KBO. He's coming back to the majors. The A's have given him a shot this year, so we'll see what he's got today. Should be good fun. So let's see. Okay, well, let's have a little look at what we've done so far in the Spring Training Cactus League campaign, because 2 games in, results don't matter. We know results don't matter. But at Ho-Ho-Cam Field, as you can see behind me, it was a happy start on Saturday, and boy, do the A's fans need some happiness in our lives right now. So let's have a look at that. Here we go. So, game one on Saturday, it was a 12-7 win over the Diamondbacks. Yes, a split squad Diamondbacks, but good to get the win anyway. And some good hitting. We had a big 6-run inning. That was the young hitters impressing, as we'll come to. But good to get the ball rolling, get the off-season underway. And nice to have, on that note, underway, first comment of the live stream season from JT Manza. Good to have you along, mate. Just want to say a quick hello. I was stand by, I have to go out. No problem. Good day, mate. Nice to have you along as always. Thanks for joining. And of course, we'll be live all season long doing lots of live streams. So I'm sure we'll hear from you again during the season and will be good to have a chat. But back to game one. And this was against the D-backs. So JP Sears, one of the guys we got in a Frankie Montas trade with the Yankees. He's someone who I think it's a bit debatable whether he will stick in the rotation longer term or if he's more of a middle relief player. I suspect he's going to lean more that way, but we'll see. One thing he's been looking at this offseason is his pace, because, and not in terms of his pitching velocity, in terms of that pitch clock. We've got the pitch clock now. In some stadiums, they've made it really prominent in spring training, so it's really quite glaring and eye-catching, which I don't particularly like. I'm sure that will be different when the regular season comes along and it will be done a bit more nicely, really. But it is making an impact, and I think they've taken the right approach in the umpires saying they're going to start off ruling it quite strictly rather than giving people a grace period. Let's get the mistakes out of the way early. Everyone can get used to it. Then everyone knows where they stand. JP Sears is someone who is a bit more deliberate to the plate, so he does have to quicken up a bit. And in the game against the D-backs, he gave up 1 home run, and he said after the game to the beat writers that that was because the pitch clock was running down. He didn't quite have the slider grip he wanted, but he felt he had to throw it anyway. And he got tagged for a home run. So that's something that's going to be interesting, both in terms of how pitchers like JP Sears adjusts to the pitch clock, but also what they do in that situation. You know, do you take, because if you don't release the pitch, you get an automatic ball against you. However, in that sort of situation, you'd probably prefer just to take the ball and 1 ball in the count rather than throw up a pie for someone to smack into the seats or smack onto the berm, onto the grassy mound out there at Hohokam. So that's sort of a bit of strategy, I think, that may come in as players get a bit more used to using the pitch clock and how they need to manage it. But you could argue that's a good lesson to learn straight off the bat, I guess. And so JPCs will learn from that. He was then followed by Freddie Tarnock. So Freddie Tarnock, one of the prospects we got in the Sean Murphy trade this off-season, and he looked very impressive in a couple of innings. I was just going to look up the box score on him, actually. Where are we? So, yes, Freddie Tarnock. It was Fishman came in after Sears, and then Tarnock came in, pitched 2 innings. So 2 innings pitched, gave up 1 hit, 1 walk, struck out 2. Did look very sharp by all accounts, was particularly trying to use his change-up, I think it was. As with so many pitchers at this time of the season, at this time of the preseason, they're going out there with specific things to work on. They're not really too worried about the results. He said after the game he's going to throw that change-up quite a lot just to get a feel for it. If it gets tagged a bit, that doesn't matter at this stage. He wants to get into a groove and a good feeling with that pitch. Having said that, of course, the A's are in a slightly different position to what some teams are, and that we do have quite a few question marks in terms of the roster. So someone like Freddie Tarnock, he's someone who potentially might make the roster. He's kind of on the outside looking in, although it was interesting, Martin Gallegos, the MLB beat writer, the A's beat writer, did say that there was some talk that Tarnock might make the roster out of the bullpen, which would be an interesting development. He's generally been a starter during his time with the Braves. So he may come in, but that's always the balance now. Generally, you want the pitchers just to get ready and get their pitches crisp and work on what they want to work on and not worry too much about results. But of course, you've got a lot of young guys there. They are desperate to impress, so they're going to want to get out there. And when there is a battle, sometimes, although we know spring training stats don't mean a lot, when there's a couple of guys going for one spot, that might make the difference in terms of who gets the first chance. So be interesting to see how that works out. And the young hitters impressing. There was a great moment during the game when a bunch of the youngsters got together for a 6-run fifth inning. So that would be a real look into the future for the A's, the likes of Zach Geloff and Lawrence Butler and Denzel Clark doing really well. So that's great to see. And what is also great to see is the return of our good pal Carl. There we go. Matt, you hound dog. Thank you. Yes. I ain't lying all the time. I hope that's not what you mean. I've never caught a rabbit either. But we're still friends, so it works out. I will devote my newfound love to Trevor May, Jesus Aguilar and Fuji. Yeah, Trevor May, look, brilliant YouTube channel. If you haven't seen that, people out there, go and look up Trevor May's YouTube channel. Real character, so I think he's going to get along very well with the A's fans this season. Jesus Aguilar has been good in the past, particularly with his time with the Brewers. Had an off year last year, but that's why he's with the A's. We say that a lot. And Fuji, can't wait for the matchup tomorrow. We'll be coming to that in a moment. Fuji, yeah. He's a real unit as well. I saw some, who was it? Oh, it's Brody Brazil did a little behind-the-scenes things of the media day at spring training. I think he published that earlier today. And Fuji is a big old guy. I think he's like 6'5" or something like that. Big dude. Someone who isn't a big dude is Nick Allen. But Carl, yeah, guaranteed my love. That will never change. He is, he looks 12 years old, but he is gold. There's a song in there somewhere. Just so slick and smooth at shortstop. It was a struggle at the plate for him when he came up last season. To be fair, everyone in the green and gold struggled at the plate last season. So I think that's what we're hoping for from Nick this season. Just, we're not expecting him to be an impact hitter, but he needs to be contributing, doesn't he, at the bottom of the order. So hopefully he can learn from last season and really put together some good at-bats. And again, he's going to be hitting 8th or 9th. Just want him to be able to, good situational hitting and making contacts, getting runners over, and all of that small ball stuff really coming from him. So, that was game 1. A nice win over the D-backs to start it all off. And then game 2. Here we go. Boom! 2 out of 2. The A's are going to go for the full 100% record out there in Arizona. This time an 11-4 win over Milwaukee. Now, I listened to I'd say about half of this one, and it was, what's his name, Johnny Doskow, I think is how you pronounce it. It was the new member of the A's broadcasting booth, alongside Ken Korak and Vince Cotroneo. Previously has been at the Sacramento Rivercats for many years, who obviously in the past were the A's AAA affiliates, now the Giants affiliates, so very familiar with the organisation, and he came across really well. I really enjoyed listening to him, so he seems like a great addition to the crew. And he was waxing lyrical over the start by Kyle Muller, another of the guys we got in the Sean Murphy trade over the off-season. And he looked really good by all accounts. It was just radio commentary we were listening to, but he was pitching to Shea Langoliers, who was behind the plate, who he knows, both being former Braves prospects, and looked very sharp. And he's someone I think could be a real wild card this season, in terms of a big left-hander who could make a bit more of an impact than a lot of people suspect he will. Another guy who might fit into that bill as well is Adam Oller. Had a nightmare last season. Let's be honest, he was a wild card, another wild card. Just fell apart, really. Let's be honest, was up and down between the majors and minors. Never got into a rhythm and never really got comfortable. All of the talk coming into his first appearance was positive. First pitch he threw, got smacked for a home run. Now, that is not what you wanted, but one of the big knocks against him last season in the majors was that when things started going wrong, they really snowballed on him, and he wasn't able to stop the bleeding and get back on track. He was really good after giving up that home run, pitched a good 2 innings, so hopefully that's a good sign for him. Also good signs, Shea Langoliers banging 1 out with a home run, and Ryan Noda, he's the Rule 5 pick we got from the Dodgers. He is someone I think's got a good chance of sticking over the season at first base as a left-handed bat, and so he hit a good home run yesterday, and that's nice to see. Always good for the confidence. It's not so much about the stats at the end of it. It's just good confidence that the swing is working well, he's seeing the ball well, and he's smacking it a long way. So Carl says, Matt Nick Allen, he's only a year or two younger than me. Lo Jesus Lozado was the first A's player I met younger than me. Yeah, it's difficult, isn't it? I mean, I'm much older than you, Carl, but it's when you get to the point whereby people your age are retiring. That's when it really gets worse. That's the next stage you've got coming down the line, Carl, when people who were born the same time as you are now retiring. Got work off to go to Thursday's game at the Cubs. Oh, brilliant. Yeah, I was going to ask Carl if you were going to any games. That should be a good one. So the Ho-Ho-Cam is where the Cubs used to be, isn't it? We took over their old facility, although it looks a really nice facility still. So Cubs are fairly close, I think. Am I right in saying? So that should be a good one. Don't know who's pitching for the Cubs that day, but yeah, the Cubs have made a few good moves. I mean, they've made quite a number of signings, albeit... obviously, the one Dansby Swanson is the main one that stands out. How far they've pushed themselves up the rankings, I don't know. But to be honest, the NL Central is there for the taking. The Cardinals won it last year, but again, they've not really done much this offseason, much to the chagrin of the Cardinals fans. So could be interesting to see if the Cubs can get in there, and the Brewers as well, of course, trying to get back to the playoffs. Here we go. Only purpose for taking spring training results seriously is to fill the non-guaranteed roster spots. Exactly, yeah. And I think that's the thing this year with the A's. Normally there'd be one or two spots that you just think, yeah, who's going to get the last bullpen spot? Who's going to get the last bench spot? But there may be a little bit, it's more like 3, 4, maybe positions that are up for grabs. So that will be interesting to see. Carl says, Cubs are a 5-mile drive for me. He's about 12 miles. Well, you got no excuse there then, have you, Carl? Fill your boots. What's the prices like now? Have they gone up significantly? Because, of course, 2020 got cut in half, and then 2021 didn't happen, and then the lockout came along in 2022. So are you finding that they've whacked up the prices to make up for a couple of lost years, or is it still relatively affordable? Interesting to know. And the other thing, Carl, are you going to any World Baseball Classic games? Because, of course, the mighty GB, the mighty Lions are taking on the might of the US and Canada and Mexico and Colombia at Chase Field. So interesting to see if you're going to any WBC games. Only slightly up for A's tickets, not nearly as dramatic as a price increase for Oakland. Yeah. It's a... we do need to briefly touch on the fact that this coming weekend, the A's are in Las Vegas for the big, the big league weekend. They're playing 2 games against the Cincinnati Reds. I know there was a tweet today by one of the beat writers just to point out who was going to Vegas. It's quite a lot of the main names are going there. So that's going to be a very awkward weekend, I think. A lot of difficult positions being put in for the manager, Mark Kotsay, and some of the players in terms of some of the questions they're going to get, I suspect. But yeah, that's going to be a bit of an awkward weekend, I would say. There we go. They've made their bed, they're going to have to lie in it, aren't they? Talking about lying in it, one thing we will look forward to tomorrow before we get onto today's game. We mentioned it briefly. Look at this. This is box office. This is Shohei Ohtani, the show pony himself, against Shintaro Fujinami. 2 guys whose history is inextricably linked because they were 2 guys in high school who were very tied together. In fact, at some point, apparently, Fuji was sort of seen maybe he might be the better pitching prospect. Never quite put it together in Japan, but he's got his chance coming over to the A's. And, can't wait to see this one. Of course, we shouldn't put too much on it, just the first couple of innings that they're likely to pitch. Both of them likely to pitch 2 innings in that game. There'll be a lot of pressure on him. Just want to get through it nice and easy. Yeah, don't worry about results, but... There's already apparently a lot of Japanese media following the A's, as we saw previously with people like Hideki Matsui, because Fuji is here and they are going to be loving the one tomorrow against the Angels. Same start time, I think 8:05 or 8:10. I think the grass seating is around $5 more. Not too bad, but that's what we get when inflation to USD is tied to petrodollars. Well, blimey. You should see what it's like over here. Everything's going sky high, not least petrol and gas, as you call it, and heating and electricity and everything. It's a nightmare. I'm eyeing a game of Colombia versus GB on the 13th. Ah, good stuff. Hopefully you will be waving the Union flag, of course. The Lions roaring. In fact, mentioning Colombia, the A's are playing Colombia, aren't they? I think next week, is it? Or later this week? I can't remember now. We're definitely playing one warm-up game for Colombia. I think it's next week. So, yes, should be good. Yeah, hope you have a good time out there, Carl. It's going to be... I do love the World Baseball Classic. I know it's a bit of a tricky thing with the timing in terms of spring training. It does disrupt the preparation a bit, but whenever you try and do it, it's going to be disruptive. And I think this way it works nicely from a marketing point of view because you sell baseball to an international audience who can much more easily get into an international tournament like this. And then you've got the Major League Baseball season kicking off just after it, so you can really capitalise on any new interest they will have. So, yeah. I think of the options that are available, spring training is probably the best time to do it. I will be waving the US flag because even our allies should fear us. There we go. There we go. That's fighting talk. Fighting talk by Carl. Yeah. US, of course, reigning champions from 2017, wasn't it? It got postponed 2 years because of COVID and lockout and all of that. So US trying to defend their crown. That Dominican Republic lineup looks like, I mean, something out of fantasy baseball of where you could just pick anyone you ever want, basically, with no limitations. Incredible lineup. That's going to be a good tournament. I'm really looking forward to it. I do think it adds something to spring training because you get to the point week or 2 weeks into spring training, it's like, yeah, it's just all pre-season friendly games, isn't it? It's not really that much, not much of a difference. But a bit of World Baseball Classic mixed in just makes it all the more exciting. And talking about excitement, so let's get to today's game. As I mentioned, it's starting at 5 past the hour, so we're just coming up to it, just over 10 minutes time watching it live. Available on MLB TV if you're an international audience. I think if you're out there in America, you need to have NBC Sports, California app or whatever. Local lockouts or blackouts and all of that nonsense. In terms of the Rockies, so they have Peter Lambert on the mound. I thought it was Paul Lambert at first, former Norwich and Ipswich manager. Turns out it's not. But Peter Lambert, didn't know too much about him, to be honest, but I had a look up on him, and he is a very highly touted prospect who, unfortunately, as so often happens with pitching prospects, has had a miserable time with arm injuries. It's been limited to 2 major league appearances since undergoing Tommy John surgery in 2020. But has looked very good in the science sessions they've done so far this off-season. And yeah, the Rockies are very excited about what he may be able to bring to their team this season. So it'll be interesting to see what he does today against the A's. And the lineup he is facing is as thus. So here we go. TK, hashtag BTN, Tony the T, as Carl will know. So Tony is playing at second base today and leading off Ramon Laureano. There was a great feature. I think it was Martin Gallegos, I think, if I'm right. Did a focus. Yeah, he was talking about Ramon being laser focused. And yeah, a revved up, firing, ready to go Ramon Laureano is a really big addition. So hopefully he'll have a good season. He's in right field again today. Trustworthy Tony, says Carl. Yes, that's the man. He is trustworthy. Bang, bang, bang. In more ways than one. Batting third, Seth Brown. Batting fourth is this Brent Rooker guy. I'm not sure when you look at the outfield mix. I'm not sure because he's mainly an outfielder. I'm not sure there's really a path for him. I think he came from the Royals off the top of my head. But we'll see. He's got the chance there. He's got an opportunity. Jace Peterson, one of the guys we brought in as a free agent. He gets the start at third base. Then we've got Demis Garcia at first base. JJ Billaday. I'm really looking forward to watching him today, actually. Someone who was a very highly talented prospect coming out of Vanderbilt, I think it was. And just didn't quite pan out with the Marlins. He was rushed through a bit because of the loss. He was a 2019 draft pick. 2020 minor league season was wiped out, so they kind of pushed him on, really, and it didn't work out for him in the majors last season. He spoke to the beat writers earlier this spring training saying that he knew he was slightly doing things wrong, but the game's coming thick and fast. He just didn't have a time to reset and get on top of stuff, so we'll see what he's got today, and I can't wait to watch Tyler Soderstrom. The future is now. Tyler, is he going to stick as a catcher? I don't think he probably will. When you talk to all of the scouting reports, read through all of them, doesn't look likely he's going to stay as a catcher, probably more first base, but got a very, very sweet left-handed swing. We saw it a bit last spring training, so can't wait to watch Tyler. And, of course, the man himself, Nick Allen. Just the slick, smooth fielding Nick Allen, who I got to talk to. Well, not talk to. That would be an exaggeration. When we were in Oakland at the end of last season, myself and Mark were fortunate to be invited along to the season ticket holder event. So Cass and Ross, our friends out there who are season ticket holders, gave us the guest tickets, if you like. We had a Q&A session with Seth Brown and Nick Allen, and I was able to ask Nick Allen a question. So there we go. Me and Nick Allen, we're tight, you know. Carl says, Jace Peterson, I forgot about him getting signed. He actually has a fair upside, given he should get consistent playing time if Nick Allen is playing in the middle field positions. Yeah, and I think that's the thing. He is someone who has quite a big platoon split, if I remember rightly. So he may be a guy who's in, I can't remember if it's left or right, off the top of my head. I think he'll mainly be in against lefties, I forget. But yeah, he is someone who looked very good and is very much a guy who has spied a potential regular starting berth with the A's. That's part of the attraction of him signing with the A's. So it would be really good to see what he can bring to the table. He's clearly got the inside track to third base, although I suspect there's going to be a bit of mix and match in there. Aledmus Diaz can play all across the diamond and also in the outfield. And the guy we shouldn't overlook is Kevin Smith. I think he got a hit or so yesterday or in one of the games. He really fell apart in the major leagues, and then when he got demoted to AAA. But his final month, he was on fire. He was smashing everything. He got something like 11 home runs in the past 30 days or something. So hopefully he can bring that in, because we didn't get a lot else for Matt Chapman, did we now? So hopefully it's a bit like the Josh Donaldson trade, where we wanted at least one of them to come through, and the hope was maybe Franklin Barreto might at some point, and never did, so we'll see. Your amount of communications with Nick Allen is just like how familiar I am with the GM David Forst. Yes. Well, you know, any contact is nice, isn't it? And I think we do need, I'm pretty sure Dave Cavill was tweeting from HoHoCam on Saturday. He's obviously gone very quiet with his communication, so maybe you need to have another little conversation with him about, or maybe you need to offer him some goodies or whatever to try and win his favour. But yes, see if you can catch him next week if you get to see him. Kevin Smithers is going to deliver fire and brimstone to opposing pitchers. Yes, that's the attitude, Carl. I am really looking forward to this season. I know that's probably going to get beaten out of me fairly quickly when we get off to a shocker of a start. But there's a lot of good young players there. There's some more experienced players like Jesus Aguilar, who they all have the potential, and they may all plummet and fall flat on their face and we lose another 100 games. But there's some talent there, right? And there's some ability to just get a hold of a starting position, get some regular at-bats or some regular pitching appearances and really come good on it. And of course, we know the more experienced players who do that, whether it's Ramon, whether it's Jesus Aguilar, whether it's Trevor May, if they have a good first half of the season, then they're gone. We all know that. They'll get traded, but we'll still be able to enjoy them while we're here. And I do think we'll make a step forward this year. I'm not promising anything more than that. We've got our pre-season predictions coming up on the podcast, hopefully next week when we record that. I think that's the plan. But I think we'll be improved. Now, it'll be hard not to improve when you lose 100 games, of course, but that is the plan. My optimism with possible relocation is Las Vegas, as well as Clark County in the state of Nevada. Government municipalities do not seem as interested to subsidise an MLB team. No, there's been a few questions about that. It's such a mess, isn't it? I don't think we'll avoid that as the game's about to start. But yeah, it's Casey Pratt did a really good video about that recently, and yeah, it does seem a weird situation where Vegas aren't really falling over themselves to have them. Who knows what's going to happen? Kim, nice to hear from you, Kim. There's Scrappy. It's going to be fun. I think it is. And I think that's the attitude we have to have. If you go into it with a negative attitude, then, well, that's all you're going to get. But there is a lot of talent there. There's some good young players coming through. And that's always been the way over the past 15 years or so with the A's, right? That we go into this big teardown. I mean, this is a particularly big teardown, but we trade away lots of guys a bit earlier than you think we'd do. And you think, oh, we're going to be terrible for the next 5-6 years. But we find a way. Players come through. Maybe some people who are less heralded as prospects suddenly have a chance and really grab hold of it with both hands. Or a guy like, of course, someone like Chris Davis going back a bit, or Brandon Moss, or someone like that, or Stephen Vogt. Were not heralded as signings when we brought them in, but got the opportunity and embraced it, and embraced the fans at the Coliseum, and embraced the opportunity to be given a chance and given some responsibility in the big leagues, and have really come through. So who knows? But there is hope. There is always hope. And I know it's the hope that kills you, but hey, we're alive right now. We've got baseball coming up, and I can't wait. So game's about to start in a few minutes' time, so I shall call this live stream today over. But I think I'm going to do another one tomorrow ahead of the game between Shohei, the show pony Ohtani, and Fuji, because that is going to be really exciting. It's going to have a bit of a major league feel, isn't it? Not just a spring training exhibition. There's going to be a lot of anticipation for that one. So looking forward to that, but I'm looking forward to today's one as well, with Drew Rosinski on the mound. The guy we got, he's been pitching in Korea for the last 4 seasons. Jake Fishman, a non-roster invitee, Sam Moll, Gangster Moll, Zach Jackson, and Nolan Long, another non-roster invitee. They're the scheduled pitches for today. I think Rosinski and Fishman will both get a couple of innings, I suspect. And hopefully they do well. Really looking forward to seeing Drew Rosinski. Let's see what he's got. We'd love to have him really come through, but we'll see. This is the AFC Sunderland of Major League Baseball. I will continue enjoying the emotional rollercoaster. Yeah, that's the attitude, Carl. Be blessed. Yes, that's the way, Kim. And Carl says, Stephen Vogt was also another undervalued player the A's got. Absolutely. Way over wire from Rays. Left-handed hit and catch it. There's always an opportunity, and I think that's the thing. The A's are the land of opportunity, aren't they? Or the island of misfit toys. One of the other. Either way, hopefully it will work out well, and hopefully we will get a nice win on the board today. Let's make it 3 out of 3. No, the wins don't matter, but it would be nice to get. We're probably not going to get many wins in the regular season, so we might as well enjoy the spring training ones when they come. So let's see. A's against the Rockies about to start. Peter Lambert, the highly talented prospects for the Rockies, on the mound. Drew Rosinski on the mound for the A's. It should be a good one. Thanks for watching. Thanks, Carl and Kim and others who've been commenting on the chat. Really good to hear from you. It makes it much more enjoyable when people are joining in. So I will do a better job of actually announcing this stuff ahead of time. It was a bit late in the day, but yes. Let's enjoy the game. Mark Ellis is in camp, apparently. There's photos of him in camp. So that's, everything's rosy right now. Mark Ellis is in camp. The A's are going for 3 wins and a spin, and it's going to be good. We are happier than the Rockies, at least. I mean, it doesn't take much. They're a right basket case, aren't they, Carl? But there we go. From Arizona, Carl is in Arizona. Bring us some good vibes out there, Carl. Let's get a win on the board Hopefully it's a good game. Hopefully you get to watch it and enjoy it. Thanks again for watching. I'll be back probably tomorrow. I'll let you know on Twitter at Oakland AUK. But yes, let's get some A's spring training action underway with the Rockies and a good win. Hopefully 3 wins in a row for the A's. Thanks for watching.